Hello. Good evening. Good evening.
You have entered the gym, Gerald and Yvette Ministries, because every marriage needs a workout. So now that you're in the gym, let's get ready to talk about some things that are so important, not just for your marriage, but important for our life in general.
Yeah.
It's important. We started this whole workout because sometimes these workouts get to be long and we've got to take a breather to pull it all in, catch it all, let it digest, let God speak to us, and then move to the next part. So this is a part 2. So if you want to listen, you'll definitely be able to catch on, but don't forget to go back and listen to part 1 because instructions are so important. God's going to be giving some very unique instructions in this season, and we do not want to miss it. Not only do we not want to miss it, but we want to accept the instructions, understand the instructions, and follow the instructions.
That's the key. Is follow instructions.
Completely. I'm
gonna be transparent. I have a problem with following directions especially when I think I know it.
Oh.
And I don't know if you've ever been in that place. If I think I know where I'm going, I don't need to follow somebody's instructions to actually get there. If I know where I'm going.
Well, if you think,
if I think I know where I'm going,
yes,
and
this
then
is true.
when something happens, it's a reality check, and so we don't really want to have a reality check all the time or at all. When you can just literally just follow the instructions, and when God gives you some instructions, those are divine instructions. And so what happens when we don't follow God's divine instructions? We find ourselves in a mess. We find ourselves in turmoil. It's not God's divine plan. It wasn't his instructions to actually get to where we need to be.
This is true. So in the last workout, we taught from 2 Timothy 3. So we're going back to 2 Timothy 3. And we started it with verse 16, and it was good. So I just want to recap just the verse 16 before we go into 17, because we were going to do 16 and 17 the last workout, and 16 kind of kicked our butts. It's like doing one more set of curls and then thinking,
my arms already hurt.
Yes, I can't do any more. We couldn't do any more. So we knew it was time to slow down and get a breather. And then come back to verse 17. So we're gonna do kind of our warm up. Our warm up exercise is to read.
Might be
16.
A workout for some.
I know.
You might send us a warm up for us because we actually went through it.
This is
but
true.
Now it might be a true workout.
Yes.
Because that was a lot of meat.
It was a lot of meat. And Lisa just said, "What? Not Ephesians 4?" Because the webinar was on Ephesians 4. Wait, we can take a breather for just a second. We just came back from Boot Camp, Baltimore.
Woo, woo. Boot Camp, Baltimore. Baltimore, thank you.
Woo.
Dr. Katrina, Mr. Timothy, thank you. Thank you, ladies. Thank you for the work. Thank you, Baltimore.
Yes.
For allowing us to come to the city.
Yes, we had a great time. Thank you, Lisa, for assisting Katrina with hosting. Thank you for those that attended on Friday night and all day Saturday. We had an amazing time. And the move of God, it's so interesting because some of you that have been following our ministry, we do these Help Meet boot camps in various cities. And then we have kings that come and they hang out with Gerald. But we have done them in now 4 cities, and they have been 4 completely different boot camps altogether.
Like literally.
Completely
they're not even the same. So it's like God shows up and does something totally different at every boot camp.
Yes.
Because at every boot camp, somebody is coming with something different. They're needing something different. They're pulling on God, and they've been asking God for something different. And God has been honoring it.
Yes.
Honoring when we have a couple people that travel with us. They have been to every boot camp. And at the end, they look at us like, okay, if we'd have been to every boot camp and you've not done anything the same. And that's exactly what God says. He says, you don't know what I'm planning on doing. All I need you to do is get there. Here go these instructions. just go.
Oh, that's perfect.
He just said, just go. He gave us
You're
instructions. Right. He said, just go and let me show you what I'm going to do in these boot camps. Wow. You don't even know. We have an agenda.
Of course. You got a plan.
My wife puts down the plan. This is what we're going to do. This is what time we're going to get there. This is how long this is going to be. And I'm telling you, that just does not happen.
But we're open. We're open to allowing God to do what God's going to do.
Just wrecks
so
it.
That fits right into what we're saying. When God gives us divine instructions,
right?
Not only does He want us to follow the instructions, but He wants us to tap into Holy Spirit to make sure that as He moves, we move.
That's it. Just like
as
that.
He moves, we move. We got to do
like
all of that. We got to do all of that. So a recap of the last workout on 2 Timothy verse 3. And before we go on, I didn't say verse 3. I mean chapter 3. Yeah. 2 Timothy chapter 3 verse 16. But before I say that, you got to get to a boot camp. We can't finish talking about boot camp Baltimore without saying we're getting ready to go to boot camp Atlanta
ATL. Let's
ridiculous.
Go. Come on, get your flight, get your bus ticket,
whatever
get your train ticket, gas up your vehicle, whatever you have to do. I'm trying to tell you, this boot camp is not something that you want to miss because there's an added blessing that is going to be I can't even.
I mean, well, and one of the things at boot camp we learn how to do is spiritual warfare. When you have to fight for your family, all of us have to fight for our families. We have to fight for our marriages. We have to fight for our children. We have to learn how to use the weapons of our warfare. So we focus on using the weapons of our warfare, and that's what happens at boot camp.
And can I tell you, when I sit back and I watch the women start transforming, they come in, it's kind of a little quiet. And then, I mean, like in 10 minutes, they're like a lion that's roaring. I walked out of the room and came back in, and it was a person I didn't even recognize when I left. She was whispering. I came back, she was stomping the enemy. She was stomping through the house. So I can imagine when she went back home.
That's right.
When she went back home, when she starts decreeing and declaring through her house, I'm trying to tell you, everything is going to shake. She wasn't trying. She had shifted into a place where I'm shaking the enemy.
That's
I'm
right.
destroying the enemy. And when I tell you, I looked at her face and she was like, I'm done, enemy. You're no longer going to intimidate me. You're no longer going to have any hold on me. I'm about to show you who I really am in the spirit realm. And when I say it, I saw the authentic her. She was authentically her.
There you go.
And when she came out, she came out. And I watched the other one. I saw prophetic worship. Just going in, teaching prophetic worship. It was like, once again, God has shifted us into a new place every single time. And it's what the people need. And God just delivers.
So
just delivers.
December 27th and 28th is our ATL boot camp. Then we will be in Bradenton, Florida on January 31st and February 1st. So keep an eye.
Sarasota, Manatee County.
There you go. So keep an eye on for our website for more information. We're trying to get around the country and then out of the country. We're going to take it where God says to take it.
2020.
So you never know, but don't wait. Get to a boot camp. All right. 2 Timothy chapter 3, verse 16, and this is what the previous broadcast was all about. It said, in the Amplified Version, all scripture is God-breathed, given by divine inspiration, and is profitable for instruction, for conviction of sin, for correction of error, and for restoration of obedience. We got to restore our obedience, for training in righteousness, learning to live in conformity. We got to conform. We got to learn to do better. Conforming to God's will. Jesus.
To God's will.
Not God conforming to our will.
Come on.
But training us to conform to God, to God's will. Because what starts to happen is we want God, we want it this way. God, we want it that time. God, we want to for your will to line up with our will, as opposed to our will lining up with God's will. So that's what the scriptures are for, both publicly and privately. Love that part, because we can't keep being public Christians. Behaving honorably with personal integrity and moral courage. So today's workout is all about verse 17. So we have that. God's instructions are going to be specific. God's instructions are going to be hard on us.
Come on. It's going to be hard on your flesh.
Oh, the flesh.
Because your flesh is an enemy of God. So you know your flesh doesn't want to line up with God's instructions. Whatever God is trying to say. It is an enemy. It is an enemy.
So it's difficult. But it's not impossible because we're doing it through God. The thing is, God's going to push us past what we can do on our own.
That's it.
Those divine instructions are going to be things that are like, whoa, God, go to different cities. How in the world are we going to afford that? What about this? What are the details? How are we going to work that out? What if we go and no one shows up? God said, if 10 people, God said, when 10 people show up, I want you to treat it like it's 10,000. I want you to preach and teach like it's 10,000, because that's a seed for when I send you somewhere, and there will be 10,000. So those types of instructions, they may be difficult, and you may not be able to figure it all the way out, but God is not asking us to figure out the word. He's asking us to obey the word.
Oh my God.
That's so important.
That is so important.
And some of that's going to be in your marriage.
But we spend majority of our time trying to figure out what God is saying. What is God saying?
Yeah.
What is God saying? What do you want me to do? What do you want me to do? When he's literally giving you the instructions of what to do, and we try to,
figure it out.
Yeah,
work it
but
out.
God just said, just step.
Ooh.
A lot of the instructions are faith. It's based on your faith, and it's based on your obedience. So once you be obedient to actually doing it, then your faith will go. It will match your obedience, and then it'll start stirring up with the word, and then now you're in a place where I hear God say do, I just do.
And it takes work. That's why we're in the gym.
It's repetition.
It is repetition. It doesn't come easily.
Yep.
It's not going to be something we do naturally. It has to be intentional for all of us.
That's the word.
Intentional. Ooh, are you intentional about getting the instructions? And then once you get the instructions, are we intentional about following the instructions? So verse 17, it says, so that, now this is why we have to have the instructions, follow the instructions, be obedient to the instructions. This is so good. So that the man of God may be complete. Who doesn't want to be complete? Maybe when your marriage doesn't feel complete, it's because God gave us some instructions and we didn't follow them all the way through. It says, so the man of God can be complete, that's all of us, and proficient. I love this word, outfitted. So it's all about what we have on. What are we wearing? We got to wear his will. We've got to wear his obedience. We've got to wear. That means that we got to put on those instructions and be outfitted in his instructions. Be outfitted in his will.
That's like putting on your clothes.
There you go. Every single day. It's something you've got to make a decision to do so that you are outfitted in his instructions and his will.
Day.
Every single day.
Because you put on clothes every single day.
Come on. Hope. There. We hope. And when I looked up perfect and complete, because that's what it is. We want the men and women of God to be complete. And I looked it up and it says fitted. So we got to be outfitted.
Right.
Fitted for his will and his use. We got to be fitted for his will. It says having reference apparently to special aptitude for given uses. So when God gives us instructions, he's basing it on what special thing did he call you to do in your marriage? What special thing did he call you to do in the earth? What special gift did he call you to create and call you to use in the earth realm, so that the kingdom is in need of our gifts? And if we're holding on to the instructions and not following through, then the kingdom can't be advanced through us.
So that's why I used to have so much problems following instructions.
Why?
Because the enemy wanted me to always not follow instructions,
Jesus.
so I always be delayed to getting to where I needed to be.
Come on.
And to do the things that God intended for me to be. Oh my God.
Come on.
I just got a revelation. I'm sorry, y'all. But I just went back to elementary. I just went back to hearing someone says, you have to be able to follow the instructions. If I tell you the instructions is the trace the lines, and you dribbling all over it, you're not following the instructions. And a teacher teaches you the instructions so that you are able to advance to where you need to go. And I wasn't a good student because I never followed the instructions. If a teacher told me to study something, I would look at it and I wasn't really studying it. I wasn't really doing what I was doing. And I can see it now, how it affected me as an adult. And when you read that, I see how it affected me spiritually. Because if I'm having an issue following God's instructions, following God's instructions, then I'm gonna have a problem reaching my destiny. And I'm just playing it off like, okay, well, I'm not following the instructions on this manual to put something together, and then when it's done, I'm missing all of I've got pieces missing on the ground. How do I think that this thing is gonna function the way it was intended for it to function? No, because you did not follow the instructions, Gerald. And so now you're expecting to get a different results when you don't follow the instructions. If the instructions for you to go left and you go right, then you think that you're going to get in the same place. I know a shortcut. That's what I used to say. I know a shortcut. Oh, I don't need this manual. Oh, I don't need to live like this because there was an instruction. I need you to live holy. Okay, I'm going to live holy on Wednesdays and Sundays, but I'm going to live like a heathen on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and sometimes on Sunday. It depends on how I feel. And then all of a sudden now you think that, okay, now you're a lukewarm Christian. Gerald, you're not following the instructions because you have to live like this every single day. And so now I'm putting you in a place, here it is, because people are going to watch what you're doing. And so if they're watching what you're doing and you're not going to live right and you're not going to actually do what I'm asking you to do, then hello, you're not following my instructions.
And in marriage, we've got to make sure we understand that God will send instructions to you individually, although it will manifest in your relationship, in your gifts, and in your calling collectively. A lot of times we get instructions individually, and all we want to know from God is, what are you going to do about the other person? All we want to know from God is how you're going to make the other person follow his instructions, her instructions. Well, they're not following their instructions, so I don't need to do. What God wants us to do is tap in to the instructions he gave us. And once we tap into the instructions he gives us, then we can influence, we can encourage someone else. But if we're not following our divine instructions, we could very well be the reason why some things aren't working out in our relationship. We could be the reason why some things aren't working out in our calling.
You done led somebody in the wrong direction.
Oh, Lord. So if
you didn't follow the instructions, and so somebody was supposed to be watching you and going in the right direction because they've been lost.
Wow.
Jesus. That's what it was, baby. That's what it was.
What was it?
I was lost. And when I said I was always watching you, just watching you and watching what you would do and how you would respond and how you would do. But you was only following God's instructions because you asked God, what was I supposed to do? And so as a person that's lost, trying to find a way, I had to watch someone do it so I can actually learn how to do it. And now I'm in a place of learning how to do it and follow the instructions on my own. Now I can lead my family the way I'm supposed to lead my family. But first of all, somebody had to be a living example of walking in the instructions that I needed to help me to get to the place that I'm supposed to be. And it just so happened that she just happened to be my wife. She just happened to be the one that decided to say, God, I will follow all of your instructions. I will yield to your instructions. I will yield to your will, regardless of what it sounds like, regardless of what I see, regardless of what I'm saying, because what you showed me, if I follow these instructions, you said that I will see what I'm seeing. I will be able to see the things that you're showing me. And now she's being able to see the things that God has showed her because of the instructions. And so now here's the time is I'm in my place where I'm able to follow the instructions, and also see the things that God has showed me for my family when he was showing me these things when I was lost and I had no clue of how I was going to get there. But God showed me, I had a ram in the bush, and they showed me my wife, and my wife was just like doing this thing. She was actually being a living epistle. She was walking the Bible out. She was walking the instructions out. It wasn't easy. Sometimes she went off on me. Sometimes she slipped, but I promise you, she'll come back and say, you know what, I'm sorry. And I look at her like, oh my God, I know that's real. I mean, she coming back talking about she's sorry. And then my mom like, well, you don't need to be sorry. I did that. So now I'm being convicted. But before I didn't used to be convicted. I'll be like, man, whatever, and move on about my business. But when she said I'm sorry, I'm like, okay, now I got to look at myself. But the instructions. The instructions were very, very, very important to actually getting me into a place of being able to follow instructions. See somebody following God's instructions, not just some worldly instructions or what worldly people say or what carnal stuff, but just God's divine instructions.
But I would say that the instructions didn't really have anything to do so much with you. The instructions really were to do the things that God was asking of me. Right. So forgiveness is instructions no matter who you're talking about. Loving the unlovable is an instruction in the Bible no matter who you're dealing with. So when you take the instructions God's given you, what started to happen was I was growing closer to God. I was hearing his instructions, and it wasn't even about the marriage. So we're encouraging you to listen to God's instructions. Get to a point where you're strong enough to follow exactly what he's asking you to do without being overly concerned about what's happening with another person, whether it's a child, whether it's a boss, whether it's a neighbor, whether it's a spouse, whatever God has given you in terms of instruction. Trust that the example that you gave about the teacher, a lot of times when you're a child and the teacher asks you to do a specific assignment, you may not know why the assignment is important.
Right.
You may not know how one assignment connects with a different assignment, because later on in the curriculum, something is going to come up and you're going to need that information. When the teacher in kindergarten and first grade starts to teach you how to add, and then your 7th grade teacher starts to teach you algebra, you still have to know how to add and subtract, even though now you're doing algebra. So had you skipped the addition and subtraction in 1st and 2nd grade,
you wouldn't have got the other stuff.
Then when they go to pull on that same skill in 7th grade and 8th grade, when you're doing additional math, when you're doing algebra, when you're doing geometry, you don't get it because you didn't get the first skill. There are times when God's instructions are just like that. We think, no, I want something deep. I tell God that, you know what, I want something deep. Give me something deep. He's like, Yvette, you can't handle deep because you can't even forgive. You can't handle deep because you don't want to love the person that you are one with. Like, if I can't send you somewhere for you to represent me, and you can't even love him when he does something wrong. You're telling me you want to be, preach to the nations or preach all over the world. You want to preach places, but when I ask you to be an epistle at home, you don't want to do that. When I ask you to live the Bible at dinner time, you don't want to do that. So the instructions God gave me were for me, and he still gives me instructions, and he's still correcting me, and he still sets me in my place when I'm outside of his will. So what are the instructions for you? Because in verse 17 of 2 Timothy 3, as these instructions are God breathed in 16, but in 17 it says, so that the man of God, the man or woman of God, may be complete. If you're feeling like you're not complete, if you're feeling like some things are not quite right in your relationship, what's happening? This is what you need to be proficient, to be outfitted, and thoroughly equipped for every good work. Are you thoroughly equipped for every good work? So if your relationship is having struggles, are you really thoroughly equipped for every good work? You may be thoroughly equipped on your job, because I was doing great on my job. But God was like, that's wonderful. I'm not knocking that. You're doing a good job. But here, in this area, I want you to be equipped in all areas. I want things to be entire, so you want for nothing.
Nothing. That's deep.
Want for nothing.
That's deep. I mean, that's deep. If you wanting for nothing,
Woo,
but he wants
tired.
you to be thorough. I mean, come on. I mean, this is
it.
It's strictly
it's in
instructions.
the instructions. When God gives you those instructions, and they may not be complete, they may not be what you want, they may not even be whole, but just follow them. Just pursue them, because you'll get some of the instructions and not know, well, why is God asking me? And I will tell you, there were several things that God asked me to do that I had no idea. And every time I was racking my brain trying to figure out, well, why would he ask me to say this? Why would he ask me to put this here? And a lot of times after I was obedient, catch that. After I was obedient, then certain things happen, and I say, "Oh, that's why." There was a incident in our, we know we're transparent, when Gerald was gone in many different ways, but gone.
Wow.
One morning I woke up and God said, leave the back door open. Some of you that follow our ministry, you've heard this story. He said, leave the back door open. Now I'm living by myself with the kids. We're in a house. And, he just said, leave the back door open. I'm like, that makes no sense. Now, I'm not encouraging you to leave your door open. I'm saying this was a God-breathed instruction. So it's different. And he said, leave the back door open. I'm like, God, I don't want to leave the back door open. Like, why would I leave the back door open? I'm going back and forth. But then why wouldn't God give me instructions? So he said, leave the back door open. And I said, okay. So I left the back door open, and on my way to work, I'm like, Lord, protect my house, please, because I'm just left my back door open. Like, why do I need to? And while I got to work, now this was after I followed the instruction. When I got to work, God said he's gonna call, and when he calls, tell him to go to the house. Now, he hadn't called. I didn't know where he was. All those things were happening. But when he called me at work, I could say, you can go to the house because the back door is open. You can get in because the back door is open. But had the back door not been open, see, in this case, he had been on drugs. There had been some things happening, and timing was important. He may have changed his mind from when he thought to come to the house. He may have changed his mind like, oh, I can't get in, no big deal. But God told me to leave the back door open. When I left the back door open, I had been praying in the house. I had been anointing the house. I had been decreeing in the house. I've been declaring in the house. So he was able to go to the house and get in. And I said, the house is conducive for deliverance. I'll be home in a little while, but you can go over there now. Had I said, well, wait till I get off work and I'll talk to you later, it was several hours, and he needed that time to sit in the house and just allow the anointing to kind of permeate. So following the instruction that I had no idea why God gave me the instruction opened itself up to help him begin his deliverance.
Now it was the first time I had a good sleep, a good night, a good rest. Because I came in and I'm like, she hates the back door being open. And I know it had to be God for the back door to be open, because I used to leave it open because I go out in the backyard and doing stuff, and I come back in and I forget to lock the door, and she would just go whoop. But when she did it, I was like, left the back door open? In my mind, I'm like, what? Went in, lay down on the bed, and I fell asleep. And it felt like I was sleeping for hours. I mean, like hours. And she came home, and when she came home, it was just like nothing ever happened. I'm like loving me and treating me like nothing ever happened, because in my mind I knew when I wake up and she comes home, we got to have this conversation. And we didn't have it. And she was like, what do you want to eat? Now my mind is she trying to kill me?
Yes.
But she don't cook. She don't cook. So what is she talking about cooking? But I was like, no, I cook. And then it got back into that routine. And as things got comfortable and I was getting more comfortable, then we were able to start going into the conversations about the different things that would happen. But it was instructions that had to be obeyed for things to happen. Yep. Because I was like, can we go somewhere and talk? Because I didn't want to talk at home, because at home was a place for me, was a lot of strife, was a lot of turmoil. It was just that place. And so I just wanted to go somewhere. Even if we went into the car, just drove and got some Starbucks. We were able to just start talking about it, start talking about some things, getting some things out of in the air, and just following God's instructions to watching this thing to where we are now. And we still have to put things in place. Absolutely. Because there's still things that we have to unravel and work on, because this is a process. This is not saying, oh, you have arrived. Man, if you know what I had to go through, you know all the things that I've come out of, and all the things that she had to battle, and still have to, catch yourself and work on. And it's a process. This ain't okay. Once he's home, we're good. No, and once you start saying you good, the devil is just like, ooh, I'm about to turn up the heat. And then if you ain't ready for it,
come on. If
you are not ready for it, if you don't have instructions and prepared yourself, because God will give you instructions for when something is getting ready to happen.
That's right.
But you have to be obedient and sitting back and listening to actually asking God, what's the next instructions, God? What are my instructions for today?
That's right.
Go by day. Don't go, I'm going to just get the instructions and they're going to be for a whole year. No, you might need these instructions day by day, because the steps of a righteous man are ordered by the Lord.
Yes.
And I'm like, God, order my steps every day. So that means I got to get some instructions for my steps to be ordered. And so as they're being ordered, I'm obedient to just walking this thing out.
And I think that's good. I think that we can use that even as our instruction declaration, order my steps, Lord. I mean, because when you think about it, we say that, we sing it, we decree it, we declare it, and then when God starts to order them, we want to ask questions. We want to doubt. We want to be fearful, or we are fearful, or we don't have faith, or we hold up and we wait for two and three confirmations. We want God to order our steps, then we will follow the orders. Right. Woo, we got to answer to the orders that God is putting out, because God is giving us some specific instructions. And if we want to operate in miracle signs and wonders, we're going to be doing things that we've never seen before. If we want results that we've never seen before, why wouldn't we expect to get instructions we've never seen before? In your marriage, God's going to ask you to do some things, say some things, behave a certain way. And our steps have to be ordered by the Lord. And when we trust God for ordering our steps, then we can expect the vision, the dream, the promises to come forth. But we get upset with God that the promises haven't come forth, and he's just like, what are you upset with me? You didn't follow my instructions. You didn't follow my orders. So decree and declare that I want my steps ordered by the Lord. Order my steps, Lord. Order my steps, Lord. And remember that you said that when he starts to order them. Remember you declared that when he starts to give you instructions. Remember you know that these instructions are God. The scriptures are God breathed. The instructions he's given you are gonna set you in a place of honor. They're gonna set you in a place of conformity. They're gonna set you in a place of moral courage. They're gonna set you in a place to be equipped for every good work. When your marriage is a good work, you got to declare, my marriage is a good work. I need my orders.
But you know what?
What's up?
That key word? Work.
Ooh.
Every good work.
Ooh.
That means you have to do something.
Ooh.
That means it's going to take some type of action.
Work.
That means it's going. If you just know what work means, you know that it means that you got to put in some time.
Yes, we put in.
You got to put in some time.
You know, when you work and then they offer you overtime, you get paid time and a half. When they offer you double time, you show up early and you stay late when they offer you double time. God is offering time and a half. God is offering double time. When he says double for your trouble, or it's time for double portion, that means you got to put in the double work.
Who can bless you better than God?
Multiply. God's multiplication is the best kind of multiplication. So he's just like, I just need you to hear my instructions, and then I need you to follow my instructions to the T. I need you to not leave things out, not skip some, and not wait on some because you've never heard them before, you've never seen it before. But you know you're expecting double for your trouble. You know you're expecting a multiplied blessing. So when God starts giving your instructions, you got to just make sure. We all have to make sure we're working overtime.
All right, you know we're getting ready to go into Christmas.
Uh-oh.
So y'all got to put them Christmas gifts together. You might want to follow the instructions.
No doubt. No
Please follow the
doubt.
instructions.
There you go.
Follow the instructions when you're cooking for Thanksgiving too.
Ooh.
I'm just saying, because it's we talking about works.
Yes.
You know what I mean? We holiday season, things are coming up, and I'm just saying, because it's something that we just take for granted.
That's true.
Instructions, period. We take it for granted because we think that we know so much, or we know the things that we think we know. But God is like, He just wants you to be obedient to following His instructions.
When we say we're hit a new season, when we know we've hit a new decade, when we know things are very different in 2020, then we have to expect that He's going to ask us to do things differently. So we're just encouraging you to follow God's instructions in your marriage, to follow God's instructions in your relationship, to follow God's instructions for the things that He has asked for you to do.
Follow the instructions.
Ooh-wee.
God has not stopped speaking.
Mm-hmm.
He has not stopped speaking. He has asked you to do something, and sometimes you just play like you didn't hear it.
Yes.
But you're not gonna get another word until you go back and finish the instructions that He gave you before. Because how can you go forward without the instructions that were supposed to put you in a place of going forward? But you want to go forward without the instructions, the past instructions, to get you to get there.
That's right.
It's not going to work that way.
It doesn't work.
God's going to make you go all the way back and finish that first instruction because you weren't obedient to finishing that instruction to be able to move to the next level.
I don't know about you.
Or the next destination.
I don't know about you, but that just hit me. I got to go back. Especially since we're rounding off this year. We're rounding off this decade.
Come on.
We are hitting a new season, a new year of vision. We've got to make sure, okay, I'm expecting big things, so I'm going back. Especially while we're ending this year, look back. Ask God. Meditate on what did you ask me to do. And when it's difficult, because people say that all the time. Well, what He asked me to do, I didn't want to do. What He asked me to do was really, really difficult.
That's
what
disobedient.
He asked me to do, and it is hard. But you ask God for strength. You ask God for you to be able to have more faith. You can ask God for more faith. Increase my faith, Lord, so I can follow the instructions. So we got to follow the instructions that He's given us so we can get to the next place, so we can get to the next decade and be prepared for it.
I'm going to just tell you what He used to tell me. When I wasn't following the instructions, He said you're being disobedient. And if you don't do it long enough, you're going to start being in rebellion. And then you're going to be a rebel. And then you're going to be stubborn. And that's exactly what happened to me. I was stiff-necked and I was stubborn. And I would say, I ain't doing it. I don't have to do it. And if you ever said that place, that means you done tapped into a rebellious stage. You passed the obedient part. Now you're going to have to go back to that obedient part. Do those instructions. Ask God for forgiveness for being in rebellion and being stubborn. And ask God to remove that stiff neck and that stubborn from you, because God is trying to get the next instructions to you.
Yes.
He's a progressive God. He's not trying to stay in spot A. He's trying to get you to Z. But you got all of these alphabets that you have to get to and get through to get to Z. And I mean, God is trying to move. He's a moving God. He's a progressive God. He's just trying to get us back to the original state of Genesis, the first part of Genesis, when He created us. Because we're obedient. We're obedient. We didn't know anything. We was only doing what God said do. That's it. You didn't know anything. Now we know, we think we know a whole lot. Worldly stuff. But God is trying to take us back into a spiritual place, because we are spiritual beings living in a human body. So if we get back our mind, and that's what He's been working with me with. It's like, Gerald, you operating in the human aspect of it, but you're a spiritual being. I want you to understand more of the spiritual aspect of who I've called for you to be. And then it will manifest and it will work through that natural part, that human aspect of it, that it'll illuminate to other people, that they will be able to see me in you. That's the ultimate goal. That's why we got to be obedient. That's why we got to follow instructions, because it's not even about me. It's about what I'm supposed to do and who's supposed to see me. And if someone sees me, what do they see? That's why I said, when she was following God's instruction, I started seeing God. I wasn't seeing the old Yvette. I didn't even know who that was. It was a totally different person. And so when you get to that place When you get to that place,
Thank you, God.
God is consuming you. You are consumed in God. You're not worried about my situation. You're not worried about my spouse. You're not worried about my children. You're not worried about your finance, because God says, I got it all. If he said I got it all, he has it all. And he don't mean just a little bit. It's that because you didn't see it. You didn't see it happen the next day, or you ain't see it happen that next week. Now we fall off. Because I'm telling you, God used to say, Gerald, close your eyes, because your eyes are getting you in trouble. Because you acting like if you can't see it, then it's not real. And I'm like, okay, God, if I close my eyes, then I can't see where I'm going. But if you close your eyes and you listen to my voice, I'll direct your steps.
Direct
He'll
them.
tell you. Because if you were a person that was blind, your ears are what you call it? They are heightened. Mm-hmm. You know, you can hear a pin drop. You can hear things in a distance.
More clearly.
You can hear it takes over the senses of the eyes. And so God is like, close your eyes and just listen, and I'll guide your steps. And you think he's gonna guide you into danger? He's gonna guide you into a wrong way? No, that's not who God is. That is not who God is. But that's what he's trying to get us to. That we will be just obedient and follow the instructions, and just try it. Try God. Try his ways.
Ooh-wee.
Try his instructions. Try his obedience. Try what he's asking you to do, and see what happens. Don't just do it for one day. Let's just make this our life. I'm with you. Let's just make this our life. We all have to do this.
Yes, we do.
This is what God wants. He wants this to be our life.
Completely.
Life, not just day Christians. What you say?
Ooh.
Not just
private Christians.
Not just
Public
private Christians. And just be public Christians. Let's get it all. Let's be out there.
Get it all. So that was the workout for today. 2 Timothy 3:16 was the first one, part 1, and 2 Timothy 3:17, part 2. So following the instructions is very important. If you didn't see the first one, go back and listen to it. It's one of those things, as faith comes by hearing, and hearing by the word of God. We know we want the instructions. We know we want God to order our steps, and we want to be able to follow what he asked us to do, so we don't miss out on anything. So share the workout, share the broadcast. We appreciate you. Follow us on YouTube, Gerald and Yvette Ministries. We want you to like our YouTube channel, or follow our YouTube channel. We appreciate that.
Subscribe.
And go to GeraldandYvette.com. GeraldandYvette.com. Lots of resources, webinars, books, lots of things for you to use to help you with God's instructions. If God's instructions were for a marriage, then you need help. You need resources. You might need mentoring. You might need counseling. You might need resources. You might need teaching. Whatever it is, you've got to get what you need to follow God's instructions. One of the things that happens is God gives us instructions, and then we've got to ask him, what do I need?
Right.
In order to follow them. Sometimes it's mentoring, sometimes it's counseling, sometimes it's teaching, sometimes it's books, sometimes it's revelation, sometimes it's change your circumstances and change your circle. But that's a whole different workout. We may have to talk about that next. What things do you have to do in your life in order to follow the instructions? I think that's the next workout when we get a chance. But for tonight, make sure you're following and make sure you're sharing. And we appreciate you coming on and being with us for this workout. You have entered the gym, had your workout with Gerald and Yvette Ministries. Yes.
Boot camp. We finished up with the boot camps.
Boot camp dates.
Yep.
Boot Camp Atlanta is December 27th and 28th. Boot Camp Bradenton and Sarasota, Florida is January 31st and February 1st. So keep an eye out on our website for different dates for different boot camps. We appreciate you. We know that you could be listening to all kinds of people, and we appreciate when you follow our ministry.
And we thank you. We really do and truly thank you.
There you go.
For just following us.
Yes. We appreciate you having the workout with us. So, remind you.
Marriage works.
If you work it.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Hey.
Whatever.
I love her. Y'all have a blessed night, okay?